Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody? Hopefully, everybody is having a positive, peaceful, and productive Friday. I'm tapped in, ready to go off and in on this subject matter, man. Y'all see the title of this particular video, man. I want to get into that bag today. So I'm going to give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in. Let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Friday before I dive into this subject matter, man. Might get a little deep today, but we're not going to go too crazy with it. So talk to me before I start talking, y'all, man. What's the word? How we living and feeling on this wonderful Friday? What's the word, man? How everybody holding up, man? Hopefully everybody's doing well, staying healthy, peaceful, all that good stuff. Javon, peace, what's happening? Tony, peace, what's happening? What's the word? How we holding up? How we living and feeling on this Friday? Tap in with the kid, man. Y'all see the subject matter. Y'all know how this conversation is about to go for your boy. Y'all should pretty much already know where I stand when it comes to things like this, especially the Robert Brooks situation. Clutch, peace, what's happening? What's the word? How we living, feeling on this wonderful Friday, man. Today, January 3rd. For the mathematics we dealing with, understanding, man. So today is all about gaining an understanding, making the understanding understood, man. We know that's the best part. So that's what we on today. That's what we on today, striving to make the understanding understood. Hey, 777 Productions, peace, what's happening? You know how YouTube get, man. You know how the algorithms do. They like to play with certain channels, man, as far as the notifications go. Hey, Sean, peace, what's happening for sure? Hey, same to you and your family as well. Tony, let's get it. Let's get it. Dropping that weight. Promoting that health, man. Promoting that health. Let's get it. Keep on putting in that work for sure. Keep grinding, keep putting in that work. But yeah, today it's about gaining that understanding, man. And y'all see what we talking about. So we gaining an understanding of the system and how it continues to mistreat the black man specifically, and then how they like to use the diversionary tactics, man. They smacked us right in the face with this tactic right here, man. My man's got beat down while strapped down, and then they had to hit us with a terrorist attack. They had to do that real quick. They didn't want that energy. They didn't want us getting riled up off of that. So they had to go ahead and throw something else at us real quick. Have something else go down. Like for sure. Soon as that happened, almost as soon as that happened, hold on, we gotta all right, we gotta have something else happen. Then we gonna place the label of ISIS on this. The dude affiliated with ISIS. They need to stop doing all of that, man. At this stage in the game, man, like that's an age-old tactic, man. Like, come on, they got to hit us with something new. But unfortunately, the masses tend to continue to fall victim to this stuff, and they actually believe that these folks are out here being terrorists, and it has no U.S. involvement, no American involvement. Come on, now we should have learned that. The people in my generation, we should have learned that with George Bush and 9/11. And how he was out here meeting with the very same type of folks that they credited with committing the terrorist acts. George Bush was chilling with them folks about a week prior to the events happening. And then all of a sudden had us looking at Muslims sideways when they was just meeting up with them. What y'all think they was meeting up and discussing? What y'all think they was meeting up and discussing, man? Where was George Bush when everything? Like, man, come on, man. Like, it's a lot to that, man. I remember breaking that down many moons ago, especially with 9/11. 9/11 was like the eye opener for me. Now, of course, I was a young bull, but once I started to dive into it as I got older, I'm like, oh, okay. I see how they set this in motion. And don't get me started on how they recruited a lot of Nazi doctors and things like that and brought them over here to the US of A. All those Nazi doctors, those Nazi cops, they brought a lot of Nazis over here, man. Recruited these Nazis. You know what I'm saying? So again, I don't trust anything when America starts to talk about terrorists. I don't trust anything. When America starts to talk about terrorists and terrorism, I instantly know that they have some involvement in what is going on with the terrorist attacks you know. So I don't fall for the okie doke. Airview, peace, what's happening? Oh, Sean, man, for sure. They always striving to do that, you know. They always striving to do that. Oh yeah, paperclip for sure. Y'all already know. Yeah, but they use this tactic very often. You know, I'm not about to be sitting here in fear of my life or ISIS. Now, do you have certain religious groups that affiliate themselves with Islam that may act like that? True indeed. Just like we got the same on the Christian end, on the Catholic end, and things along those lines. But I be knowing what's up, man. Like the United States had a hand in training Al-Qaeda soldiers. But again, these are the people they had us viewing as terrorists. So why are you training them? You know what I'm saying? Why are you supplying them with weapons? Like this is what the good US of A was doing. The very same folks that they was having us fear as a people, they were training them, they were giving them weapons, having friendly conversations with them. This is history. Like this is not even a conspiracy. This is history. If you dig deep enough into history, you will be able to fact check exactly what I'm saying. These are known facts. Especially with Al-Qaeda, and had us viewing these folks as the enemy. And they were over there training, setting up military base, all that type of stuff, man. All that, man. Like y'all know how I go. You know, we out here training the enemy. Gonna have the masses fearing them though. Got us looking at Muslims sideways. Like I remember the climate around 9/11 and how people started to look at a Muslim sideways. Like if you identified as Muslim, if you identify with Islam after 9/11, because they had instilled the fear in us, Muslims looking at Muslims like, nah, I don't trust them. I don't trust them because they removed their involvement from the situation. And then when they go over there and capture Bin Laden and all this type of stuff, now they looking like heroes. Like, come on, man. Like, you got to stop falling for this okie doke, man. We got to stop doing it. We got to stop doing it. Oh, Cluck, man, for sure. I remember, man, I got a story. I forgot exactly what year this was, man. This might have been 2009, 2010, might have been something along those lines, man. But I'll never forget this, man. I pulled up to the gym that I used to work out in back in the day, Gold's Gym. I pulled up to this joint, fam, and off to the side, man, I had never seen something like this before. I pulled up to the gym, and it might have been like a Saturday, a Sunday. It was a weekend day. I pulled up to the gym, wasn't that crowded, man. Off to the side, man, it was like, man, it was like the National Guard was all to the side, man. I seen like tanks, bunch of cop cars, all of them, man, just taking up the entire side of the gym. And it was like they was preparing for war. I still to this day don't know what that was all about. But they was occupying the entire side of the gym, man, and they was training for something. They was doing some sort of training. It was crazy. I had never seen that before. Side of the gym. I'm talking about tanks, all the cop cars, man. Them folks was outside training for something, taking some orders. And I was like, man, what they getting ready for? This was like 2009, 2010. I'll never forget that. That was a sight to see. That was very interesting. Had the whole side of the gym occupied, man, with all the vehicles. All the vehicles, all the people, all the cops and whatnot was over there, man. And they was just like lined up, like in army fashion. Like it was crazy. But, man, let's get to this subject matter, man. I know y'all saw the Robert Brooks situation, man, when those COs beat my mans to death. This is the type of stuff that just got documented, that just got captured. But this still goes on very frequently here in the good old US of A. This was just a documented case of video. This was just a case that was captured on video. This still happens at a very rapid rate, and a lot of it still is not documented. They just so happen to had gotten caught this time. But this is something that still goes on. And it's 2025, that was 2024. And this is why people such as myself continue to view the system the way that I view the system. Everybody likes to talk about progress and things like that, and the type of stuff that don't exist, and how it was much worse back in the day. Man, I don't care about back in the day. We living in right now, and this stuff is still happening. This stuff is still happening in 2025. So as a black man, I still cannot afford to let my guard down in 2025. Can't do it. Can't do it. This is why I still walk around with the energy that I walk around with, because things are not changing. Things are not changing. As much as we like to talk about change, I promise you things are not changing the way people think. Things are not changing the way people think, man. I'm telling you. And that Robert Brooks situation, I don't know if y'all saw the footage. I don't know if y'all sat there and watched the footage, man, but that Robert Brooks situation is a prime example of why I would never trust this system. I would never trust these folks. Those same Nazi cops and whatnot that they employed back in the day, Asada Shakur revealed a lot of that and exposed a lot of that in her book. You know what I'm saying? But them same Nazi cops that they employed back in the day, those principles have been passed down from the cops to COs, all of those people within that realm. Those principles have been passed down. And that's a fact. Get black with me. See, here's the thing about, and my thing is buffering on my end, man. It's ridiculous. Man, can y'all hear me good? Let me know if y'all can hear me good, man, before I dive into answering this particular question. But can y'all hear me good? Because on my end, man, my thing is buffering a little bit. Let me close some of these tabs. But can y'all hear me good? Let me know before I start tapping in. All right, bet. MC, what's happening? But get black with me. You say, what ideas do you have for change? Here's the thing, before I answer that question. I don't even feel like I need to present ideas for change. And the reason why I say that, because I feel like a lot of my elders and ancestors have already done that. So I feel like the first thing for me is for black folks to simply just read the blueprints that were left before us already, or left for us to dive into already by our ancestors and by some of our elders. Amos Wilson, I recommend this book every time that I have the opportunity. The last music video I was in, I had this book in the music video. Amos N. Wilson wrote a very thorough book that's about 800 plus pages called The Blueprint for Black Power. That book needs to be read by all black people in the wilderness of North America. And when we read that book, we just need to implement what's inside of that book. So I don't have to come up with any brand spanking new ideas for change, because they have been, we already got a lot of blueprints. That right there is my favorite blueprint. He has a lot of solutions within that book, to where if we just get a nice amount of people to come together and read and study that book and implement what's in it, there will be some change. So I'm one of the ones, I don't get up on YouTube and act like I got all the answers and I'm him. I'm the one that got all the, no. I'm going to give credit to the folks before me. They done already did the work. They done already done it. Just pick one you want to study. Amos Wilson is one. You can study the structure of the Nation of Islam. You know, everybody got their opinions on Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, them, but you study the structure of the Nation of Islam. They got a good structure, fam. No matter how you feel about them, the structure of the Nation of Islam is on point. From the fruit of Islam, you know what I'm saying? Like, the structure is on point. So we can study the structure of the Nation of Islam. You can go back and study Garvey with the UNIA. You know what I'm saying? Claude Anderson has written some nice works. The Black Panther Party, we can study all of these folks that came before us. We can study all the folks that came before us and some of the folks that still exist. And then we can study mistakes that were made by some of the groups back in the day, like Garvey's situation, the Black Panthers. We can study the mistakes and then we can make adjustments so that the same mistake doesn't happen twice. But we got plenty of people that had good structures. Now, a lot of the downfalls revolved around infiltration. Garvey's movement and the Black Panther Party, that was infiltration. The enemy turned us against one another by using money for the most part, you know? So that was part of the problem when you look at those organizations. They was trying to get my man's Garvey up out of there. So it was some betrayal that went on. And, you know, they paying folks to betray folks and everybody got a price, you know? So we got to do a better job of identifying a Judas before it gets too late. You know, we know the Fred Hampton story. You know, the Black Panther Party, they did the Black Panther Party file, you know, so that's all infiltration. These organizations, the structure was perfect. If they would have just left Garvey and them alone, if they would have just left the Black Panther Party alone, like that would have been the solution. You know, so every time we put something into motion, we got to watch out for them. Move, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know the Philly situation when they bombed the whole community, killing all the folks. We minding our business. That's part of the solution, is to establish our own communities. So then when they see us doing that and we don't have any army to protect what we striving to build, then they just gonna do that, you know? So if they can't pay anybody off, man, if we got an organization or we got a community or we got neighborhoods and they can't pay anybody off to sell their folks out, then they just gonna bomb it if we don't have an army to protect it. You know, so that's the thing. Before we put anything into motion, we got to understand that this is war. They will always view it as war, always. So when you have the element of war attached to it, you got to have soldiers, fam. You got to have people willing to die for a cause. Flat out, you know, flat out. There is no way. I'm going to tell you right now, 2025, there is no way Black man, Black woman is going to come together and to build anything of value without them striving to infiltrate it. They will not leave us alone. It will not happen. If they see us thriving on one side of town at a very massive level or a massive rate or a rapid rate, if they see us thriving and we just too happy and we too wealthy, they're going to do something about that. I promise you. I don't care what they sitting out here and saying in 2025, 2024. I don't care. I don't care. They're not going to let us live peacefully when they see us thriving without them. It's not happening. The only way they will allow that to happen is if they have their hands in it in some way, shape, or form. If they are not benefiting from it, best believe they about to come over there and start some trouble. Best believe it. Best believe that's going to happen. They will not leave us alone. They will not allow us to establish our own communities in peace, build without needing them. That's the key. If we can establish the fact that we don't need them to thrive, there will be a problem. So they want to continue to paint this world in a way of where it looks like we cannot thrive without them and without their government, without their set of rules. They want to make it seem like if we remove ourselves from this structure, that we will be a lawless people just out here being heathens and foul and savages. That's not the case. We are the originators of government. We are the originators of law. You know what I'm saying? We are the originators of principles, morals, and values. So if we remove ourselves from this wicked structure, we definitely will establish our own set of rules, principles, laws, values, and all of that. Like, come on now. But they want to paint it in a way, because I've actually heard people say this. I've heard people tell me this flat out. When I say we need to remove ourselves from this system, from this government. And I've had folks literally tell me to my face, like, well, if we do that, then we just going to be walking around here lawless. And we're going to be walking around here like savages. We need that order. We need that structure, as if we can't provide that for ourselves. Man, we don't need this government. We can govern ourselves, fam. We did this way before they came into the picture and corrupted us with their trash government. Like, come on now. I see y'all say, oh, yeah, y'all mentioned Claude Anderson. Yeah, Claude Anderson is the man. Powernomics, you know, yeah, the white wealth and all of that. I got every Claude Anderson book and read every Claude Anderson book for sure. So again, the blueprint has been laid, man. Plenty of folks have laid the blueprint. Plenty of them, man. Like I say, just pick and choose, man. I study all of them, you know, because they all have pros, they all have cons, man. But Amos Wilson got the most thorough. That blueprint for Black Power is thorough, fam. Like 800 pages of solutions, like literally 800 pages of solutions, fam. Seriously. Amos Wilson flies under the radar as a scholar, as an ancestor, as an intelligent mind. They had to kill that man. You know, you look up his story, his death was definitely mysterious, man. That man was powerful. That man was powerful, man, with the information that he was bringing. You know, but that blueprint for Black Power, man, I keep this copy on me because I feel like this is one of those books that in the future gonna be a hard time finding that joint. Hard time finding that joint. So I make sure I keep my copy, man. My copy is definitely behind me. All my Claude Anderson joints, man. I keep these books on me because mark my words, that's why I be grabbing these books, man. Not only to read them, but again, about 10, 15, 20 years, you know, when you study history, the first thing that they used to do a lot of times, man, was destroy the library, burn the library down. When they was warring with our ancestors, fam, they destroyed the library. It's knowledge, man. It's the foundation. See, people sleep on knowledge, man. They sleep on information. It's the reason why our folks was documenting things, man, because we know the power of knowledge. Sometimes knowledge ain't even about the current generation. Sometimes you are putting knowledge on a piece of paper for the generations after you when you long and gone. So they can have the game, so they can have the blueprint, so they can know about these folks. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this information gets destroyed. So that's one of the first things they're going to attack. Professor Griff said it plenty of times when they was after him. They burning down his apartment where all his books was at. You know what I'm saying? So we got to watch out for that, man. When you accumulating that information, where you got a lot of information stored, that place can become a target. You know? So that's why you look up Amazon, a lot of books that you once was able to find, can't find them anymore. That's why people such as myself got to watch how we move, because they try to destroy where the knowledge is stored. You know, if you want to control the people, they've told you this plenty of times. If you want to control the people, control the information that they receive. One of the best ways to control the information that they receive is to destroy any opposing information. Basically, destroy the truth so that I can control the narrative, fam. So that's why they burn down, destroy libraries. When it's really wartime, be mindful of places where a lot of Black information is stored. Those are going to be some of the first places that they attack. Be mindful. Be mindful. You got Black bookstores, man. You just got folks that got the books. Like you gotta watch them. Those are going to be the places that get attacked. And you gonna be like, wait a minute, why they do this and that? Man, that's where all the information was at. So now all of a sudden, these valuable books can no longer be found. So now what they're going to do, they're going to rewrite history to fit their narrative, to favor them. That's easy to do when you done destroyed the truth. You done destroyed all evidence of the truth. You know, so now we got to go back. We got to go back and redig up the truth. So now we got to rewrite the books that our ancestors wrote. You know, so that's what we are steadily in that type of motion to where we got to keep digging back and relearning things. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't destroy our knowledge. They didn't destroy our foundation. Other groups of people they can't say that. They destroyed our foundation. So that's why we continuously have an identity crisis when it comes to Black folks. We are one of the main groups of people. We are the main group of people who have an identity crisis. You're not going to find too many other people on this planet arguing and debating about their origins, because they know we are the ones that were disconnected from our origins. So we always fighting and fussing about where we came from and who we related to and what is our original names and this, that, and the third. That's Black folks. You don't see no other culture doing that, because no other culture has the problems that we have. You're not going to find another culture arguing about their origins like we got to do. You're not going to find it. I promise you, you won't find it. I've been around these other cultures. They don't have to do that. We have to do that. Man, you don't see no Asians arguing about that. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that. You don't see no Arab. You don't see no Arab. And they should. Some of these people should be arguing about some of this. I mean, when I say Arab, white Arabs and white Asians, let me clarify that. You know, because again, when you talk about the original groups and inhabitants of all of these people, y'all know who they look like. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about some of these other folk. But y'all don't see these other groups of people having to go back and do that. Even a lot of our African brothers and sisters, who they are trying hard to disconnect us from. They don't have to do that. They know what tribe they came from. We the only ones specifically here in America that we just lost, and we got to argue with everybody, mainly with ourselves. And we can't even get past that. And that's why it's hard for us to build, fam. That's why it's hard for us to build, because again, we like to settle on these petty things. Tony, for sure. Yeah, that's why the most dangerous brother on this earth, especially in this country, is the brother with the book, man. The brother that's reading, the brother that don't have any problem studying, putting information into his mind, proper information. What we say, proper education always corrects errors. You know, so when they see that black man that's studious, that's the biggest threat. Not the black man with the gun, not the black man that, that's gang affiliated, but the black man with the book in his hand. And when you break down the book specifically, it's a book, something like what I got right here, like a book about Emmett Till, and we studying what's right and exact. Oh, you the biggest threat. Public enemy number one. You are a problem. So we gotta silence that guy. That's the biggest threat. That's the biggest threat to these folks. That's the biggest threat to what we like to refer to as devils, man. That's the biggest threat to them. That's the biggest threat. You know, they done told you about a devil that's underground, and that look, they done painted the picture of the devil. When you see a picture of a devil that's painted, it's literally a black figure. Incorrect. We know what the true color of him is. The devil is a man, as we say. Man, ain't no spooky being. You know what I'm saying? Y'all encounter devils on a day-to-day basis. Whether it's when you turn on your YouTube, turn on your TV, or your everyday corporate life. Y'all come across devils on a day-to-day basis, fam. On a day-to-day basis. Devil ain't no spooky being. It is a man. And y'all know exactly what that man looks like. Y'all know exactly what he looks like. It ain't got anything to do with no internal damnation. It ain't got anything to do with no fire. It ain't got anything to do with no afterlife. Man, we deal with devils on a day-to-day basis. Day-to-day basis, fam. And that's a fact. Our ancestors was trying to put us on game. But again, like I say, they destroyed the evidence of that. Well, they tried to destroy the evidence, man. One thing about the truth, we call it the cream. It's going to always rise to the top. That's one thing about the truth. It's going to always rise to the top. You can keep burning the libraries, man, but we are a resilient people. We're going to always go back and get that truth, and it's going to come back to the surface. So they can keep playing that game, man, but we're going to have the resilient minds that we have. Like, we're going to go back and we're going to recover that truth. So the cream always rises to the top, man. There's no stopping that. So you could keep burning the libraries, man. You could keep trying to kill us and assassinate us and things like that. But the truth is undefeated. You can only keep it suppressed for so long, but it's going to make its way back to the top. That's a fact, man. The lie is not going to last too long, man. You know, they working overtime. They working so hard. And that's how you know some of the things that we are speaking be truthful. Because if somebody such as myself gets on the platform, man, and speak the way that I'm doing, they're gonna try to go out of their way to make me look like I'm crazy. They're gonna go out of their way to make me look like a lunatic and all of that. You working too hard to try to make me look a certain type of way, man. That's why we know what we saying be right and exact, because they work too hard to suppress it. They work too hard to plant these little tricks, do the trick knowledge, mess with the algorithm in the way to where when you say certain things, man, you get pushed to the bottom. They working too hard, man. Why you got to do all of that? If you wasn't concerned about, if we was as crazy as they try to make us seem, and you really wasn't worried about all words impacting the masses, why are you working so hard to suppress what we say and do? You know what I mean? Why, when I was talking a certain type of way about getting jabbed up, you had to say medical misinformation and delete the video? Why you have to go do that? You know what I'm saying? If you're not worried about folks like us, if we just crazy, you know, if we just talking crazy, and you can't take anything that we say truthfully, why are you working so hard to suppress what we say? Why? Let me know that. It's supposed to be a free country, right? Freedom of speech. We supposed to be able to say and do what we want to say and do, only to a certain extent, you know. And I be seeing a lot of arguments about that, man. When people such as myself criticize this country and they compare it to other countries, well, if you don't like it so much, why don't you move to other countries? That sounds cool and whatnot, but to me, that's dumb. To act like we don't have any right to criticize where it is that we live is ridiculous, fam. That's ridiculous. If you don't like so much, why are you here, man? Everything is subject to criticism, man. You can live in your own house, your own crib that you decorated, and you still may not fully like it. You may wake up one day and realize you don't like the decorations, man. You know what I'm saying? We can do whatever we want to do when it comes to criticizing where we at. So I've never understood that. But the difference is when it comes to other countries, it's more overt. The main line for sure. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere we step foot, I'm at the crib. So I don't need to go nowhere. They're not going to run me anywhere. You know, so wherever I'm at the crib. And I got the right to criticize where I'm at. I have the right to criticize the garbage that goes on, the garbage that I see. You know, but like I say, the difference is that these other places are more overt and we just covert. That's it. That's it. It's covert. It's subliminal. Want to make it look like we got all these free. It's an illusion, fam. And we get caught up in this, man. We get caught up in these illusions. And these illusions that they present to us make us feel like we have some type of power. Make it feel like we have some type of freedom. And that's not the case. That's not the case. They prove that to us in with a lot of different methods, man. And y'all already know how I feel about voting, but voting is one of those methods where they give us this illusion of power, this illusion of freedom. All the while, they really controlling the options. Fam, if I come to you, if I tell you, if I say, look, what you want to eat today, and I give you A, B, C, or D, I say, what you want to eat today? Do you want to eat? You want to eat steak, chicken, fish, pork chop? A, B, C, or D. I gave you all the 4 options. That may seem like, oh man, I got the freedom to choose. No, you only had the freedom to choose within the parameter of options that I have given you. There are plenty of other foods that you can eat, but I gave you 4 options, and I'm telling you that you have to choose between those 4 options. Yeah, so it may seem like you had a freedom to choose, but you really don't. You only had a freedom to choose within the options that I gave you. You know what I'm saying? So that's America. That's what America is. The other countries might say, look, y'all eating steak. That's the difference. Y'all eating steak. What America is gonna do, I'm gonna give you 4 options. It's one option that I really want you to choose. So the other 3 options gonna be garbage. And I'm gonna make you choose that one option that I really want you to choose, because I'm gonna give you 3 trash options. And then you're gonna walk away from it and say, well, I got to choose. Oh, you really didn't. You really didn't, though. I gave you 4 options of food to eat for dinner, like it ain't a million other options. And I made you choose. That's the difference between America and these other countries. They gonna give you the options and say you gotta work with those options. Other countries might say, nah, you're gonna eat pork chop. That's it. We ain't even you just gonna eat the pork chop. America wants you to eat the pork chop, so they gonna give you 3 other options around it that they know you're not gonna choose. I want you to eat the pork chop, so I might put some other options that just don't look right, like lettuce. You know what I'm saying? Like a slab of cheese. You know what I'm saying? Some trash options. Then I'm gonna throw a pork chop on there. You gonna choose the pork chop. That's gonna look like the most fulfilling thing on the list. You're like, man, yeah, I chose deep. I had the freedom. No, you didn't. That's an illusion. Age-old tactic. So America uses a lot of that. And again, I've talked about subliminal messages plenty of times. Subliminal messages are so deep. I used to talk about this back in the day. It's so deep. Like I said, you could be looking at one thing, but behind the scenes, a whole other scenario is playing out. And that's what you're picking up on subconsciously. Mystical Harmonizer, my boy Antonio, what's happening? Peace. Peace to everybody that's tapping in. But that's how deep subliminal messaging is. Subliminal messaging, subliminal marketing. These are things that I learned. Like you could literally be looking at me on this screen, but behind the scenes, I could be having something else going on that ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And that's subconsciously, that's what you're picking up on. So you're going to wake up one day and you're going to have this craving for some Skittles. And you like, man, where did this craving come from? I hear people talk about this all the time. Like they wake up and craving things and just have a desire to do something. They don't understand where it's coming from. Man, that's subliminal messaging, subliminal marketing. You was watching a commercial about rollerblading, but behind the scenes, they had some Skittles going up and down. And you woke up and wanted some Skittles and you don't understand where it came from. Or you might have had a dream and you don't understand how all this stuff is appearing to you in this dream. You're like, man, I ain't come across none of this. Yes, you did, subliminally. So again, that stuff gets real deep. Just like with the music, when you play the song backwards, it got a whole different meaning. Man, this stuff really happens. You will be surprised at the measures that they take to get people to move how they want the people to move. Be surprised. They do all of that. All of that is a known fact. All of that is a field of interest that you can study. Like this is not something that I'm making up. Like this stuff really happens. These are real things. You can study them. You can study subliminal messaging. You can study subliminal marketing. You can study these things and you can study what I'm talking about. You can study listening to music or listening to songs backwards and they have a different meaning. You can study frequencies of the beats and things like that. You can study all of that and what it does to the subconscious mind. And that will answer a lot of questions when you may be having weird dreams, weird cravings and desires. You like, man, I don't understand where this is coming from. That could be the answer to some of those questions, some of those concerns and suspicions, man. So you gotta tap in with everything. You gotta tap in with everything with a critical eye, man, a critical mind, because they are literally striving to brainwash us every way that they can. And with America, like I say, it's so covert, man. They get tricky with it. Again, you could be looking at one thing, but your subconscious mind is picking up on something totally different. So we always got to be mindful of that, man. Got to be mindful of a trick that could be played on the mind. Serpent X, what's happening? Peace, what's the word? So this stuff it's real, man. Like it's real. So that's one of the best way. I remember K Reno said something like that, man. The best way to avoid deception is to know that you can be deceived. So we got to first understand that we can be deceived. We can be manipulated. That's part of gaining that understanding. That's part of avoiding it. Is to know that, man, I can be deceived. I can be manipulated. It's the people that think they can't be deceived. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem. Hey, Daniel, peace, what's happening? Hey, Devin, peace, what's happening? Oh, yeah, Edward Bernays, man, with propaganda, man, I got that. You already know I got this stuff behind me, man, for sure. It's another book called Manipulating the Masses, I believe that's the name of the book. Man, that book, hey, that book taps in. That book lets you know how they manipulate us. That book, man, in the first, chapter of that book, the first chapter of that book that I'm talking about, Manipulating the Masses, I will get up and go try to find it, but I got so many books, I don't even know where it's at. But in the first chapter of that book, speaks of like an incident to where one thing happened in the media is crazy. because this is exactly what I'm talking about with the title of this book. But in the first chapter of that manipulation of the masses, I think that may be the exact title. But the first chapter of that book talks about it was something that went down, and I ain't gonna give you exact details of it. I'm gonna just give the scenarios. But it was a scenario where something happened. You had A. Whatever happened in scenario A was what the media did not want the people to focus on. So then there was scenario B. Scenario B was light. Scenario B was something that really wasn't important. But they took scenario B and they highlighted it in the news. So they made scenario B look like it was very important to shield people from focusing on scenario A. And this was all done by design, fam. You know what I'm saying? Scenario A was involving some government type of stuff that was going on. Scenario B was like some celebrity garbage. Same stuff that they always do. Scenario B was like celebrity garbage. Scenario A was like some straight corruption with the system. So they had to say, hold on now, we can't allow this to surface like that. So to shield people's attention, we gonna make it known that this happened, but we gonna make this celebrity news look like it's more important. They did that intentionally. That's the first chapter of that book. They talk about the birth of that. So that's really like, they really do that. Like, people think that we conspiracy theorists. No, this really happens, fam. Like, they really have things that happen, and like, oh snaps, we can't let the masses. Whoa, we can't let this be the main story. We can't let this be the main story, fam. So they gonna take celebrity news. It's always, they use celebrities a lot, and we gonna blow this up. So it takes your focus off of what really just happened. The prime example, like, they literally do this, fam. Robert Brooks, they say, hold on, whoa, another black man getting beat down. Okay, we need something to take the focus off of this. Instead of them using celebrity news, we're gonna use terrorism. We're gonna have this dude drive into this crowd of people, and we're gonna say this is ISIS related. So now we don't even care about the black man got beat down no more. Man, when that happened, when dude drove into the crowd of people, fam, the way we felt about Robert Brooks left the building. Left the building. Left the building, fam. Left the building. I mean, it happened that quick. You know, we was like, man, that's messed up what they did to do. Whoopty whoop. Man, that's messed up. That's tragic. Why they do like that? Going in. Boom. Dude drives into the crowd of people. Yep, that's gone. Now we focused on ISIS and terrorism. That's what we on. That's what they do. That's how they move. Like, and this by design, this ain't no coincidence, man. Like, this stuff happens intentionally. And this ain't to say that we don't have wicked folks out here that do things like that. But when stuff like this happens, you got to look at timing, man. You got to look at the timing, fam. Timing is very important, man. Timing is very important, man. You got to always pay attention to the timing of events. Very crucial, fam. Like, things happen when they do for a reason. DJ Elmo, peace. What's happening? Loot that. Peace to everybody that's tapping in. Jason, for sure. Yeah, when they try to get us to overly focus on some celebrities, fam, you already know some political corruption has happened, transpired, and all of that. So, Serpent, and that's the thing. We got an identity problem because of how we got disconnected. And I said we the only group of people that have been disconnected like that. So we got the identity crisis, and that identity crisis is killing us. When you have an identity crisis, man, it affects you in so many different ways. Like, when you have an identity crisis, man, it's hard for you to know what your purpose in life is. You know what I mean? When you don't know who you are, like, you don't know what you're here to do. You know, so that's why a lot of black people walking around here with just no purpose of living, man. They don't know what it is that they out here striving to do because their identity is gone. When you give us the identity back, we're not walking around out here with no purpose. When you give the people their identity, when people have an identity, they know exactly what they're here to do. They know exactly what time it is. You know, so when we disconnect them from that identity, when we disconnect them from their culture, we don't know what we out here doing. We do not know what we out here doing. A lot of people's listen, a lot of people, when it comes to other cultures, a lot of their purposes revolve around their identity, revolve around their culture. So when we don't have an identity, when we don't have a culture, we don't have a purpose. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing, and we don't know what we're doing it for. But when you look at a lot of these other groups, when you look at a lot of these other cultures, their purpose revolves around culture. They trying to bring something back to the culture. They doing what they doing so they can bring it back to the culture and strengthen that group identity. That's what they doing it for. That's what they be doing it for, man. I be talking to a lot of, man, I talk to the Africans, to the white Arabs, and a lot of what they do revolves around their culture, revolves around that identity. Like, that's literally what they be doing it for. Then you start talking to us, we don't know who we are. So then we doing something, we don't know why I don't know why I'm doing it. I ain't trying to bring this back to no culture because we don't have one. You know what I'm saying? So that's the main thing. You know, and they know that. So when we gain an identity, man, when you gain an identity, you gain a sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose gives you power. It's hard to stop a man when he has a purpose. It's hard to stop that brother. Hard to stop that sister. You know, when they have an identity and when they have a purpose, it's over with. So that's why the brothers that do have an identity, they become a target. They become a target. And I mean, we could just go down the line of the brothers that then got assassinated, because not only did they find out their identity, but they were striving to help other brothers and sisters discover their identity. They can't have that. Nope, can't have that. Because with that identity came purpose. And again, notice all these brothers that figured out their identity, part of the purpose revolved around helping the culture. And sometimes to a fault. But again, when you get your identity, man, your identity is never going to be separate from the culture. Not going to happen. You know, when you gain your identity, man, when you get knowledge of self, there is no black man or black woman in this country, I'm going to say, that will gain knowledge of self and disconnect themselves from the culture. It will not happen. Soon as I gained knowledge of self, the first thing I was like, I need to take this to my people. That's the first thing I was on. That's why I got right online. When I started having conversations, I was like, man, I got to bring this to the people. That was the first thing I was on. I'm still on it. But as soon as I got knowledge of self, it's like you become selfless in a sense. Like you like, man, I got to bring this. I got to wake my people up. Everybody that I know that then gain knowledge of self, that's the first thing you be on. First thing you be on is like, man, I gotta help. I gotta wake people up. I gotta bring this to the people. My people need this information. So everything you do, you gonna do it for your people. Everything. So DJ Elmo, what you say, man? Can black people who identify as FBA solely defeat system of white supremacy without collective collaboration with like-minded non-FBA blacks, Africans, and Caribbeans? Even with the FBA, man, I have my disagreements with that particular stance. But part of what I'm going to say here, because you say without collective collaboration with like-minded non-FBA blacks like the Africans and Caribbeans, a group of us can do whatever we put our minds to. First of all, we don't need a large number of people to do what it is that we need to do, because it's really not a large amount of these white folks that got all this power. So we don't really need a large amount of us, statistically speaking, numerically speaking, to do what we need to do. Don't need a lot of people. But next thing I'm going to say here, they have been working so hard to disconnect us from the brotherhood in other countries that now they are starting to succeed with that. I will never disconnect myself from my brothers in other countries, specifically Africa. I will never do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even saying all the FBA brothers and sisters do that, but I'm saying they have made an effort to disconnect us from our brothers in that land. And I have been given that knowledge, bro. I've been given that knowledge about how they tried to make Africans perceive us before they came over here. So I was given that game by some African brothers. You know what I'm saying? So they have the, so then you got to ask yourself, why do they go so hard to try to disconnect us from those brothers and sisters, from those roots? Why? So anytime I see them making a very strong effort to do something, I investigate. They do not want us linking up with our African brothers and sisters. They don't want us linking up with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. They want us to be at odds, because then when we start linking up with them, that's when they really, really, truly will be outnumbered, and it will almost be nothing that they can do. But as long as they keep us divided on that aspect, they have a chance. But the moment we start linking up with those brothers and sisters, oh, it's really over. Like, it's really, really over. Like, it's over to the point where they won't be able to do anything. Like, it's over. You know, if we start linking up with those brothers, and those brothers and sisters do not have, plenty of our elders and ancestors, man, had good relationships with our folk, with African folks that was in high positions, fam. Like, these brothers and sisters don't perceive us in that light that they want y'all to think, man. I'm telling y'all they don't, fam. And the only reason that they would perceive us in that light is due to the colonization of that country, of countries over there in that continent, I should say. You know what I'm saying? It's the only reason. If an African brother or sister does not view you in the most favorable light, more than likely they were influenced to view you in that same way. Just like you got plenty of black folk in America that don't view another black person in America in the most favorable light. Like, we got to understand, you got black people in America that will drive to a certain neighborhood in the same city they live in and view those black people in the most unfavorable light because of where they live. And they hood. So we do that in America. So just imagine that on a grander scale. That's all that they do when it comes to these black folks, because I call them black folks in other countries. They depict us in the most unfavorable light, and that's what they show these folks in other countries. So then when they come over here, it's like if we drove to the worst neighborhood in our city and we say, man, these folks hood. They hood. Some of these hood folks that you are judging incorrectly are some very genuine folks. But since you already got this preconceived notion about this neighborhood that they didn't grew up in, you won't even give them the chance of the day. You won't even give them an opportunity to show and prove how genuine they are. So that's what they do. They depict black folks in America in the worst light, show it to other countries. Them other countries come in and be like, man, woozy woo. So they already got this preconceived notion. I done had this conversation, man. This is African brother, man. I had one when I was in college, man. Dude was like, he was like, man, I didn't think. He was like, man, have a conversation with you, man. You cooler than the way that they made y'all seem. And that's when my eyes open to that. That's when my eyes open. When I had that conversation with the brother, and he was just like, man, they make it seem like y'all this and that. Like, man, but you not like that. Eyes were open. I say, oh, I see what they really be on. So I learned that I learned that as a young boy what they really be on. You know, so again, if you go drive to the worst, it's some people that will go drive to the worst neighborhood and y'all gonna say that's the hood, and y'all don't want any dealings with a person just because of where they from, just because of where they live. And that could be incorrect. Again, that could be the person, the most loyal person you can come across. But since they grew up in that neck of the woods, you ain't gonna give them a chance. So we do that here. So I don't be understanding that. I don't be understanding why we be automatically acting so unified when it comes to these brothers and sisters in other countries. They don't like us. We don't be liking us, fam, based on media depictions. It's some folk y'all won't drive to a certain area in your own city because y'all afraid because of how the media depicts that area and the folks in that area. So what you mean these Africans they don't like us? Man, you don't like people that stay 20 minutes from you because they live in the hood and you think you uppity. Like, man, get out of here with that. So the same way y'all think some of these Africans view us, y'all view y'all downtrodden brothers the same way. So that's funny to me. That'd be funny to me. You turning your nose up at somebody because they live in poverty. They live in the hood. And then you gonna got the nerve to say Africans don't like us because of this, that, and the third. You treating that brother that's from the hood, you treating that sister that lives in the hood that same way. So come on now. And the only reason you doing that is because of the media. They done told you that folks that live in these environments are the worst folks on the planet. No, them folks that live in those rich, wealthy neighborhoods are the most gangsters of folks, man. The most gangster of folks. Those are the people that will have you murked. They got the money to have you murked. The person in the hood gonna have to come up to you, try to do it himself. The folk that your neighbor that is in that wealthy neighborhood can pay somebody to do it. Pay somebody to do it. Make it look like he ain't doing it. Smiling in your face when they see you, whole while plotting. You know what I'm saying? Paying to have you offed. You know, so again, man, we gotta stop all that garbage. We doing the same things, man. We tend to do the same things that we criticize from other folks. And God is, to me, the answer is very simple. To me, that's a simple answer, because people don't like Africa was just as colonized, or is just as colonized as the United States of America. So the black people, our African brothers and sisters are just as whitewashed. You know how many Africans I come across that worship white Jesus? You know what I'm saying? You know how many African brothers and sisters that have adopted these white religions that I come across? And if you say something about these white religions, they will disown you. So they just as whitewashed as we are here. So that's why a lot of them haven't reconnected, or they striving to build relationships with us, because they were just as colonized. They are just as colonized and whitewashed and brainwashed. And then our ones that still off in the trenches that still identify with their tribes, they have been cut off from society. You know what I mean? They've been cut off from society, so they can't come back and get us, because the white folks, boy, they ain't got access to nothing. So that'd be the funny part about that conversation. Like them African, boy, some of them Africans I came across, boy, they be worshiping white Jesus. It's like, man, you ought to know better. But then I had to realize. I had to realize. I might go out on a limb and say it's almost worse on their end, because it's like y'all own the mother, y'all living in that motherland. You know what I'm saying? With all them resources, with that rich history, and y'all walking around worshiping, praising these folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's almost worse than the situation we in, man. At least when you historically start studying our situation, you start to understand, like, damn, okay, boom. But man, y'all right there with the resources, man, and they got y'all worshiping everything but the stuff that's right there in your face. That'd be wild. That'd be wild. Oh, God is for sure. And you know, and that's the thing. Now, this how I'm gonna phrase it. I'm gonna phrase it in a way like this, to where it might sound like a contradiction, but you gonna understand this statement. I know you're gonna understand it. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, but all my kinfolks are skin folk. That's how I deal with that. All skin folks ain't kin folks, but all my kin folks are definitely skin folk, for sure. You know, because them other folks definitely ain't my people at all. You know what I'm saying? So all skin folks ain't kin folks, but all my kin folks skin folk. Liddell, peace. Man, you say I ain't got no sense. Appreciate the donation for sure. I think everybody said they can hear me, man. So it might be something with your volume. But yeah, you know, when you tapped in, when you got knowledge of self, you're gonna be able to weed out. You're gonna be able to weed out those folks easily. I don't have no problem weeding out them type of folks. And y'all know the folks I'm talking about, man. The sellouts, the Sambos, the folks that mean no good, man. The whitewash folks, the you know what I'm saying, the black folk with the white face. You know, y'all know them type of folks. The pigmentation is similar to yours, but the mindset is white. The mindset is Eurocentric, you know. So when you tapped in, you able to weed them folks out instantly to where they actually don't even present a threat at that particular point because you're just able to quickly identify it, you know. And sometimes it get a little tricky. Some of them are tricky, you know, so you got to pay a little bit more attention, you know. But when your antenna's up, you tapping in, you finding those people, you discovering those folks, and we don't associate with them. You know, we let them go find out the grass is not green on the other side. I let them folks do that. I let them folks find out the grass not green on the other side. Oh, you think it's sweet over there? Go ahead. See how they fool with you. See how they rock with you. Then they come back crying to this side. It's like, okay. You know, so I let a lot of people just dig their own grave, man. I let a lot of people dig their own grave. You know, so I think that's kind of, you know, I think that's kind of interesting. You know. So I keep it, you know, keep it real, man. Y'all know the stance, y'all know the culture we come from, you know, that I come from, man. Got it on the hoodie that y'all probably can't see, you know. So I deal with the original people of the planet Earth. Like, let me repeat that. I deal with the original people of the planet Earth, the original man, the original woman. Those are the people that I deal with on the planet Earth. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Elijah Muhammad broke down the color spectrum. You know what I mean? Other people have broken down a color spectrum when it comes down to identifying the original man and the original woman, from black, brown, red, yellow to white. You know, anything that's non-white was considered original, you know, but that's up. We could debate that, whatever the case. But I deal specifically with the original man and the original woman. Anybody who I see as the original man and as the original woman, I view them as my brother. I view them as my sister. So then when we say things like that, does that mean automatically that I let my guard down around them? No. We got, some of y'all got siblings and relatives. I don't just automatically have my guard down around my brother, around my sister. Anybody could do me foul. Anybody could do me foul. But it's more so about knowing where I came from. I was once a savage in the pursuit of happiness, right? So I didn't have this knowledge of self. You know, I was a potential king. I was a potential god and things like that. It took for somebody to have patience with me. It took for somebody to throw some information my way, throw some recommendations my way for me to wake up. They exercise patience with me. So I tend to exercise that patience when it comes to my people, because we all have that energy line dormant within us. You know, so it took a moment for me to wake up and realize some things. So I exercise that patience when it comes to my folk. I exercise that patience when it comes to my folks, man. You might not see the God in yourself, but I see it in you. You know what I'm saying? Like you might not see it, but I see it in you. Sister, you may not think that you're worthy, but hey, we got plenty of brothers out here that can see that within yourself, man. We see that potential in you, even if you don't see it, you know? Oh, yeah, man. Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Amos Wilson, Khalid Muhammad, all them folks. Marcus Garvey, man, just all these folks would be disappointed, man. Huey P, Fred Hampton, George Jackson, all these folks, man. Walter Rodney, we keep going. I could name them all. Steve Coakley, man, just all the folks, man, that they came and dropped some game on us, man. That were just taken from us. They would all be disappointed, man, at the back and forth, man. Like I say, we deal with the original people of the planet Earth, man. Anywhere we step, man, we pretty much at the crib. We was here first, you know. Francis Cress Wilson, how could I forget, man? For sure. Shout out to the queen, man. Yes, indeed. You know, but anywhere we step foot, man, we pretty much at the crib. You understand what I'm saying? But even with the crib, we got a foundation. And that's kind of what we need to start establishing, man. We need a home base. Even these wealthy white folks got a home base. They got somewhere they retreat to in the world when they start destroying the world and everything is at odds. Last time I checked, one of their places was like Switzerland. These wealthy folks, man, they got places where they meet up. You know, when things start going left, how they planned it, they start getting out of harm's way. They getting out of Dodge, fam, and they start going. Like one of their places I know was Switzerland. It might be some other places, but I know Switzerland was a place for sure that they were going. We gotta have that base that we can go to, fam. We gotta have that base. But I know for a fact Switzerland was one of the places. I remember researching that. When you start seeing a bunch of wealthy white folks go to Switzerland, something about to pop off. when you see all them mugs, they vacation and they in Switzerland, get ready. Something happening. Like, get ready. Like, you ever see that happening? You ever see all them folk go to Switzerland? Wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You better be like, you better start examining life around you, because that means it's about to get serious somewhere. About to get serious. Elijah, man, peace. Appreciate that, that cash app. Yeah, New Zealand. Yeah. New Zealand. I can see that. Yeah, I know Switzerland for sure. You know, so we got to have that base. We got to have somewhere we could all go, you know, where we can all go. Like when stuff start getting rough, we got to be able to say, boom, we all headed here. And that's part of why they disconnecting us from other lands, man, from other continents and countries. They don't want us doing that, because that's what could end up happening. Musk can start saying things like, man, y'all safe over here and whoopty whoop. If they start destroying America, which is their plan, then y'all can come over here. They don't want that to happen. They don't want us to have that type of freedom to be able to go somewhere else outside of here and still be safe. They got too much going on here, and they plan on wiping us out here. So if we start relocating to other places, that's going to create a problem. So they want to make it look like we can't go anywhere else. That's some BS, man. We didn't have plenty of our leaders, man. We didn't have plenty of leaders. We didn't have plenty of elders and ancestors go to other countries and be good. And that's a fact, fam. So they don't want us to know that. Because again, if we know that, once they start implementing their plans for destruction, we can't go anywhere. And I don't care how we feel about the United States being our crib. Fact of the matter is, we ain't got any type of base set up here, man. So we are at a disadvantage here. We are at a disadvantage here, man. Like disadvantage. Like they got everything pretty much constructed the way that they want. And anytime they want to set off some bombs, they can do it. So it don't matter where we choose to set up at in the good old United States. Like they got bomb, man. They got underground bombs set up in places, man. They just got everything mapped out perfectly, you know. So we could come together and unify. But man, they didn't build this road, and they got this bomb underneath this road. All you gotta do is press a button, boom, earthquake. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't really, we didn't design, man. We didn't construct a lot of this, fam. Like they didn't implemented a lot of their little bombs underground, fam. They didn't put a lot of their poison into the atmosphere over here. Human, and again, I've actually had that conversation with Africans, and that conversation did go like that. My African brothers and sisters, like that's we had that. I had that conversation. So, and again, I'm able to have that conversation though without emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm able to have it without emotion. Some of the things and skills that they had to have, the brothers and sisters that I'm talking about, no, a lot of us don't have them. That's why I say when a lot of stuff pops off, a lot of we gonna be doomed. Like this ain't this real talk. Like we want to talk all these groups and whatnot. If some stuff popped off, man, we not really ready to survive out here in the wilderness. We really not, fam. I'm trying to, we not, fam. We not. We ain't really trained for that. Nah, kid, nah, it ain't no disrespect at all, man. That's your honest, man. If anybody get disrespected by that, then it's emotional. I'm not disrespected by that because like I said, I've actually had that conversation personally. Like in my opinion, we do not have those skills. Now, do we have brothers and sisters here that do? Yes. And are they trying to train folks? Yes. But as a collective, nah. Like if stuff was wiped out and we had to go to war tomorrow, it ain't looking good. We still got a lot to learn when it comes to survival, just survival in general, just survival in the wilderness. Like, man, you take away some of our phones and we don't know how to get them. We don't know how to get down the street. You take away the phones from some of us and we can't get down the street and back. We lost. Like, man, I went down the street and I got lost. Like, dang, man, you took away my phone, bro. I don't know, man, how I get around the corner. Like, that's how bad off some of us are. Like, a lot of us are. And that's just real. And that was by design. So that's not disrespectful, at least to me. Somebody can see that as disrespectful. I don't. I see that as an honest assessment, and I see that as something we need to work on. So that's real. That's how I view that. Like I say, I'm able to remove emotion from these conversations when somebody says something like that. You know, I feel like that's the only way that we can come together and build. Like I didn't have conversations with some Africans, and they was like, man, just intellectually, man, y'all just behind the 8 ball. Like it's some of this stuff that they teaching y'all in high schools and colleges. We had to know that at 5. You know what I'm saying? Like I done had these honest conversations, and I always talk about our educational system being garbage. And people from other cultures and countries just come here and prove that to me. Like they prove it. You know, they prove it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, we gotta step it up, you know. And we got some folks out here that's doing it. That ain't no the people that's out here doing it keep doing it. You know, the people that's out here teaching survival skills, the people that's out here raising the intellect, like we own that. It's some of us that's on it, but it's not enough. Not enough. So we just gotta keep at it. Tony, for sure. That's why I'm like, the school system garbage. We need to work on removing ourselves from that fully. You know, we need to remove ourselves from that fully, because I'm trying to tell you, compared to other countries, our educational system is doo-doo. Like most of it is pointless. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't learn anything really of value for the most part. At all them years we spent in school, and mothers get out of school and don't know how to write a check. You know what I mean? Don't know how to deal with a stressful situation. Like don't know how to pick fruits off a tree. You know, it'd be simple stuff like that. Like we don't know how to do it. Don't know how to light a fire, you know, like don't know how to survive out here. So we really need to remove ourselves from that. Like, and that's for real. Like that's real. Like that's real, man. I had started ordering books on survival because I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? If things really hit the fan, like, man, how would I be? I'm like, man, I don't think I'd be as good as I need to be. You know, so I started studying that, man, for real. I'll be watching documentaries on brothers in the wilderness to see what they be doing. For real, man. Like we ain't ready for that part. We ain't ready for that. I promise you, we not ready for that. Like we wouldn't last a week. We probably wouldn't even last a day, for real. Hey, man, we would be so done. We wouldn't know how to get anywhere. And that's the main problem. We wouldn't know how to get anywhere. So guerrilla warfare will be out because we would not be able to identify with our terrain because we ain't got our phone. So we wouldn't even be able to master the terrain to be able to jump on the enemy when they came, because we don't know our way around. We don't know how to maneuver. We don't know how to navigate. Like, man, I don't know where I'm at. And you 2 minutes from where you live. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I got to get myself ready, man, so I can head back up to the gym, finish these clients off for the second half of my evening, man. So I appreciate y'all tapping in with the kid, man. I appreciate donation. I appreciate the cash out. My man, appreciate that. Appreciate that last donation before I get in this joint. Oh, yeah, man, for sure. I done told some of my African people that I was training, because I trained plenty of Africans, that, man, they was telling me the quality of the herbs. And I was like, hey, bring me back them herbs when y'all come back and holler at me. You know, they was telling me the quality of our herbs, all that type of stuff is garbage. And that's why the healing in America is just garbage. It's hard for us to heal because the quality of our herbs and fruits and vegetables is complete garbage compared to everywhere else. So you could be doing all these herbal remedies and whatnot when you in America, man, but the quality of our stuff so garbage. You know, so I was like, man, bring me back them joints from the land. You know, but it's some of them, and they might be watching, man. Y'all owe me some herbs. But man, again, man, I appreciate all y'all tapping in, man. I'm gonna head on out, try to make me this juice before I head on out. Hit this gym up, finish off these clients, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in with me, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Friday evening. And if I don't tap in with y'all for the weekend, man, y'all enjoy the weekend too. But I'm out, y'all. Peace.